DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective, your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
What is going on, everybody? Draft Heads, welcome in. You're listening to the KPC. My name is Joe Williams. I'll be your host for this particular episode. Welcome in. Welcome into another live stream. If you're listening to this later on the podcast format, we would really encourage you to join the live stream. There's some really good, more beard talk. I know we had some beard talk last week, but there's even more beard talk going on in the chat on the live stream. But I love it. It's absolutely incredible. We've got a lot of people joining us, even kind of chatting us up in the chat. So just shout outs quick. Mr. Nauru, what's up? Nauru, what's up? Draft Espresso, what's going on? Haroon is back with us. Draft Pie, Ben Chickens, Ken. We got Ken from Barbie. I'm pretty sure that's got to be the same one. Simon Lloyd. Man, we got some people representing tonight. Old Scruffy, of course, here for the beard talk, obviously. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Hit us up in chat if you guys have questions as we go through. And then, of course, like if we're talking about something that specifically relates to a question that you have, pop it in there and we'll try to get to it if we can. Join us live. If you guys, if people who are listening, if you guys can join us live on Wednesdays around 5:30 p.m. Eastern is when we normally do it. It's a lot of fun. There's some good chat going on in the chat. So join us if you can. Otherwise, let me just run through the basics here. Welcome back into the KPC. We are the audio companion to the Draft Society website. What is the Draft Society, you ask? Well, let me keep it short today, but basically, we've got everything you need for the draft game. We've got everything you need to succeed in this draft fantasy game. Basically, we've got top 75 consensus rankings, weekly waiver wire articles, Sleepers 11, useful draft statistics, Ghost Point Hunter, projected lineups. That's free every single week, which is amazing. And then if you are even slightly willing, we would love it. We would appreciate it. We would be grateful if you'd be willing to join the Inner Circle, which is our subscriber-only section, and does support us as an independent fantasy football website. The Inner Circle is going to have all kinds of extra goodies in there for you. Weekly player projections, weekly weekly rest of season rankings is what I meant to say. Sortable consensus rankings by if you want to call us experts, the analysts over at the Draft Society. Every international break, we've got a set piece taker tracker, fixture difficulty tracker, all the good stuff on there. And then if you finally are willing to sign up for the season pass, which is basically just paying for the monthly, just all in one lump sum, help us keep the lights on, and then you'll also get access to the fantasy toolkit, which kind of is the crown jewel, amazing app that was built by DraftLad that will save you so much time every single week. It is bespoke to your Fantrax ID. It will tell you which players to pick up, what their points projections are for that particular week. It will tell you what your players are currently in terms of their trade value, and then you can see if trading to another team in your league, if that trade might be beneficial to you, and how that would stack up in terms of the value for both. There's so much on there, and there's new tools being built into it seemingly every day. It's absolutely incredible. So, yeah, if you want to check it out, Fantasy Toolkit, it is absolutely amazing. It's on the website, and you can see all the benefits on there if you are to join the season pass in the Inner Circle. Okay, that'll do it. Let's actually get to the show. So today we are going to be talking. We'll quickly run through some midweek updates, if there are any to be had, about the Champions League matches and anything else going on midweek, just to make sure that we're not missing anything noteworthy or newsworthy. Then we are going to do some risers and fallers. So kind of since the beginning of the season or as of late, who are the players that are rising and falling drastically in our ranks and our valuations in our eyes? And finally, obviously, Game Week 7 streamers. We will end with that. And then, as I've already mentioned, of course, at any time, hit us up with questions that you guys have in the chat. We'll try to get back to those as soon as we possibly can. Yeah, chat's going off tonight. This is great. I'm taking some shit for always being a salesman at the beginning of the pod. But guys, I have to do that. Anyway, let's bring in some other voices. So sorry, gentlemen, to keep you waiting.
Gotta pay the bills.
Yeah. We got Ryan, we got Totti, we got Sanjy back with us tonight. How's everyone doing?
Not too bad.
Good. Not bad.
Nice.
I have a question, Joe. How come you never automated that spiel?
I just
do a pre-record and drop it like we do with Russ.
I did once. Yeah, I did once only when we did the positional preview, because it was going to be the exact same every single time.
Joe, do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
Oh yeah.
Do you know those that like just start mid conversation and then they go into like a semi organic intro style, whatever? I wish you were one of those podcasts.
You do wish that? Because I actually have one in mind that used to exist that did that I found to be pretty
yeah, but that didn't go into any that didn't go into anything
inane
substantial.
That's true. We're
talking about our days.
That's a good point. You should talk about what the subject of your podcast is, I suppose, at some point. Yeah. That's
I mean, to be fair, we did start tonight talking about beards. We just didn't start recording the conversation.
That's fair.
Right.
Joe's a big subscriber to do it live.
Do it live.
He lives it. He loves it.
Let's do it live.
Yes.
One of the best clips of all time. We should actually upload that.
That's got to be a some sort of segment or something.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
do a segment there.
And I think we could even, because you know how I can play videos on here. We do it with the one that we kick it off with. I think we could upload it into this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we could do a segment where you don't tell us what the question is going to be, and then we have to react.
Yeah.
Oh, do it live. I actually really like that.
Then we'll cut to the new Sting album.
So actually, Totti, if the new Sting. Okay. Anyway, it's amazing, Totti. If you weren't able to get into the doc to like put your guys in there, which you did eventually, but I was just gonna put some in there for you and tell you that you had to argue for them.
I saw what you put in there. I could argue all 4 positions for that one player.
We should do that one time where we all put our players in, but then we have to argue other people's positions.
I like that.
We did that once, didn't we?
Oh yeah,
we did a
Firmino versus
opposite day.
Devil's Advocate or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember what we called that.
Horrible.
That was a tough one. That was
terrible.
It would be even better if you didn't know what they were in like until the moment of.
Yeah.
Or would it just create like awkward silences and bad radio?
No, I mean we know all these players.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
Fine.
That's true.
We're experts. We're analysts, right? That's what you called us.
I hesitated on experts, as you heard.
We analyze things.
Is it just because Sanjy was on the pod as well?
No, it's because I'm here. All right. So, guys, are there any midweek updates that people should be aware of that you know about?
Timber?
I saw that Bailey was subbed on and then subbed off, so it didn't.
But also Ramsey
was subbed as well.
Was subbed off with a potential injury.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Timber came off.
Ramsey's been shit anyway, so it's probably good that you just don't have the option of starting him.
That helps.
Yeah. Sure.
He's a trooper.
Saving you from yourself, managers.
Yeah.
Timber's a good shout. Anything on that one, Ryan?
Arteta just said that he felt something muscular, but seemed to be fine and was.
It was just
they wanted to manage his minutes.
Okay.
So, like, especially given what happened with Calafiori, who was supposedly bawling his eyes out, yet played 2 days later. Yeah, I'm not looking too much into it. However, if he's injured and White is still injured, we know what time it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
baby.
I'll bring out that
Are you-
gift until the cows
Are
come
you
home.
are you a little concerned about how much Timber's been playing? I'm surprised
Yeah.
he's been playing this many games, this many starts, this many minutes.
Hasn't been much of a choice. I mean, Zinchenko's out and White's been out for the past few weeks. I wish that wasn't the case, but he's been incredible.
Tomiyasu has been out since the
Yeah.
preseason.
I don't even count him as like a roster player anymore.
Tomiyasu's been out since COVID.
God, he's got long COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see a ton else.
Jesus got minutes off the bench, didn't start.
It was
midweek.
horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah, he didn't play well.
He's trying to do too much.
Marino got like 30 minutes.
Good sign.
And
sure.
Some decent defensive stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, City, Foden started and Doku started for anyone trying to off themselves of some high rise because they drafted them in the first and third round. Yeah, Haaland supposedly had a knock, but then Guardiola said it was
He
nothing.
plays 90 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah. No, he only played 60 and
No, but
came off.
he said he got a knock over the weekend, but then proceeded to play 90.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Like, oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Onana supposedly an injury as well.
Oh.
In tonight's game against Bayern. For Liverpool, it was the first team 11 starting.
Yeah.
Um,
Thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and there weren't any early subs either. It was only Nunez, Jota in the 60, and all the rest came after minute 70. So Trent played 85 minutes, Robo played 72 minutes. So there may be
What about Diaz?
some. Diaz played 72.
So it sounds like Diaz will play.
Yeah,
Famous
Sobo played 86, so I'd be a bit wary of him. He hasn't been
famous
that
last
good.
words. You're about to say you might see some rotation, but
I was about to say that, but yeah, it's probably never gonna happen.
it'll be interesting. Slot has not shown us any willingness to do that so far, so that's that'll be interesting to see. But
Otherwise, there was joy for those that love the underdogs, because Bayern and Real Madrid lost.
yes,
So good weeks all around. Good days.
Hell yes, beautiful. All right, put a bow on that. Let's get to the main event, guys. So today we're going to talk risers and fallers, which Ryan reminded me is very similar to a segment that he used to do. During COVID, we had a Sunday show where each of us did our own segments where we kind of pre-recorded them and then I edited them all together. It was a way to kind of save a little bit of time so we didn't have to do a live pod, but we were able to do 2 shows a week. Just don't have that kind of time post-COVID. But yeah, Ryan did in fact have let's just
Ryan Barnes presents Ballers and Fallers.
There is one more thing. It's been emotional.
Oh, God, I forgot about that. Now that is a segment intro, my friends.
Hell yes.
God, that's so good.
That's
Thank
a
you
good
for
one.
that.
If I pump that into like an AI video generator, I'm really curious what it's gonna come up with.
I'll pop up with a mask on in the middle of Colombia,
Yeah, exactly.
using Audacity to record.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
was good old days. I remember I was doing all my segments while walking the dog
With
outside because that was with the
the intro from Harry.
Harry Redknapp. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. That's right. That's right.
Wheeler
Wheeler dealer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And you had
Yes.
lining up with Chuck.
Lining
Yeah.
up with Chuck. Yeah, Chuck Booth had a segment on there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Before he
That's one.
literally worked for NBC Soccer.
Yeah. I mean,
What a time, guys. What a
from
time.
the acorn. Gross.
All right, so I promise I didn't remember that, but Ryan, I did it inadvertently steal that from you. Plagiarize, copyright infringement, whatever you want to call it.
Assuming all the relevant fees and price will be wired to Ryan post haste.
Soon as send me an invoice once
My
I get
lawyer
an email.
will get in touch.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're gonna look at risers and fallers. We're gonna there's two categories here. So we're gonna look at short term and long term. So risers in the short term, fallers in the long term. Risers Risers in the short term, fallers in the short term. Risers in the long term, fallers in the long term. And some of us, I think, interpreted this in different ways, and I think that's totally fine because that'll make for a good conversation. So, let's just jump into it, guys. Totti, you're first on this list. You don't have to go first if you don't want to, but you can.
I'm fine. I'm
Okay.
fine. Going.
All right. So this is short-term risers.
Yes. So it's kind of short-term past, short-term future risers. We talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this last week, but we definitely talked about this in the Draft Society chat that Brentford have the best defender schedule for the upcoming 8 games by a fair distance, and good old Neil is finally back to his ghosting ways. All this 2 at the back mumbo jumbo, which led to Collins posting Defender 1 numbers, is gone and forgotten, and Pinnock is back to his best. And with the schedule easing up considerably, I think he will end up being a bowler in the next few games. And my other short-term riser is Ferdy Kadiolu, who has actually had 2 games already and posted decent numbers with Brighton now looking like they're a bit more able to defend than they were under De Zerbi. It's a shame that he's not a defender, but even he's a midfielder, which also helps with midfield issues, which we all know and talked about ad nauseum. And we have so kind of what comes around goes around, or I don't know if that's the perfect way to describe it, but yeah. So he started against Chelsea and has Spurs, Newcastle, Wolves in the next 3.
Mixed bag.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, Brighton is going to be one to talk about because a couple of their players are going to feature
all around.
Yeah, on the other side of this coin, in the fallers. So yeah, I don't know. Ferdy is playing as a wing back.
Yeah, as a right back.
Yeah, and you think that he's pretty much nailed there, or do you think he's going to suffer the same rotation that we're seeing from the other guys?
I think he is the best player they have in that position, and I think he will command most of the minutes. I don't think he's nailed on, so if Brighton are playing in the later games, I wouldn't definitely count on him for sure starting, but yeah, I think he will take most of the starts.
Yeah, that's good advice. On the Brentford piece, are you excited about any of their other defensive options, or not really? Are you just kind of limited to Pinnock and obviously one of their best player, Mark Flecken?
We had young former Liverpool non-starter Sepp van der Berg, touted. I think Ryan, you mentioned him as well, and he was in the Sleepers article last week as well. He didn't show as much as we thought he would, but he's definitely taking what used to be Collins' aerials. It's a very short sample size, or a small sample size, but
Sure.
but he could be decent. I'm still trying to give Collins the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
With this easy schedule, but other than that, I mean, Sanjy will very organically segment over to his short-term risers now, I think.
Oh, what a segue.
Do it.
Thank you for that, buddy. Yeah, I've gone with Damsgaard and Gundogan. The reason being is just injuries for both clubs, right? I think both teams were kind of forced into a situation where they're playing their assets kind of out of position, maybe getting more minutes than we expected this season. Because I'm not sure what's going to happen to Damsgaard's minutes, once Norgard comes back in, once Jensen comes back in, once Vista comes back in as well, how things are going to shape up. Again, this is like the best season I think we've all seen Damsgaard have so far as well. So who knows how long it's going to last. So I think both of these assets I'm going to talk about is like ride until the wheels kind of fall off. And the other one is Gundogan. And with Gundogan, like I don't know how many people saw like Pep's comments about calling him a shit player, basically, or him having a shit game versus Newcastle, essentially. I mean, like he was getting into good positions. He just looked a bit rusty and out of place, right? Because I don't think that number 10 is his position, or he's been playing that anytime recently as well. So apparently he was a lot better tonight against some Farmers. So I think they won 3-0. He had a much better game. And it's going to be interesting how, I guess, how much time he gets on the pitch. Foden is now coming back into good books. Maybe KDB comes back, the forever injured man next to Reece James.
Yeah. Well, they've said he's confirmed already that KDB is out until after the next international break.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Gundogan seems to be around it seems he's going to be around for a while. I just don't know. He has games
where he's going to play.
Yeah, he has games where he does well too, and he doesn't in other games. It's kind of strange.
Yeah. I mean, tonight's game, he did well because I think he played a deeper midfield position, and that's because, Walker didn't play. Rico Lewis went into right back. So there's a lot of shuffling that is going to happen, I think, at Man City, right? But for now, it's probably an easier time to punt on Gundogan's points or depend on him as a midfield asset right now versus maybe a couple months down the line. It could get a lot more difficult.
The chat conversation is incredible right now. They're just exchanging various pronunciations of names, and of course I take shit. Mr. Nauru, incredible. Kluivert. Absolutely amazing. Well played, sir. Well played. Yeah, Sanjay, I like it. I mean, your lips to God's ears that Foden's coming back in, because I'll believe it when I see it. That's my first round pick right there. But yeah, other than that, I think you're spot on. With Damsgaard, it's like I think we all knew he had it in his locker. I mean, I remember Ryan and I talking about him last year and being hyped about him, and then he just never came to fruition.
Yeah, I think it's also like getting used to the physicality of the Prem, right? I mean, if you look at his build when he first came in as well, like he's a fairly scrawny player, I want to say. And I mean, players take time to adapt to this league.
Yeah,
it is one of the best leagues in the world for a reason as well, right? So yeah, maybe he just needed time, really, and timing is everything about playing well in football, like being successful as a club, etc. So, yeah, maybe let's hope. I think owners for now should rejoice, enjoy the points while they come, because like Totti kind of alluded to, they have nice fixtures even now as well. For the next while, I want to say up to 14. So yeah, enjoy the points while they come.
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely, and especially like that's a midfielder that you just picked up off of the waiver wire who's performing for you, which is worth its weight in gold these days. Love that. Ryan, you want to go?
Yeah, I can go. So I've been calling out Calafiori basically for the last 2 months now. Finally got his chance. 2 back-to-back starts and straight up fireworks. Got 17 plus against City, nasty goal, and then he just ghosted out of his absolute mind. I think he got over 20 ghosts this past weekend against Leicester, and then
he was nasty.
He was also out of his mind yesterday against Bayern. Came in at right back, which he'd never played before after Timber came out. So him and Timber are just super versatile, can really play anywhere around the back, and he's, as advertised, very aggressive, can dribble his ass off, obviously has a shot in him. So I think he's going to continue to get a lot of interceptions and then have those buccaneering runs along the left side. And he's also, I don't know if it's coincidental, but since he's taken over the left back role, Martinelli's looked like a new man. So it's dovetailed obviously with Leicester, and then we have again Southampton this weekend. But all signs are good, so I think he'll be a nice, at least short-term baller. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when White is back fit, whether or not Timber keeps that right back role and benches White, or if Timber reverts back to the left and benches Calafiori with White, excuse me, retaking his right back role. So that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on. But if it ain't broke, I mean, having a left-footed Calafiori at left back and then right-footed Timber at right back is working. And Arteta has been known to be somewhat ruthless once a player comes in and leaves him no excuse to take him out. So
look at Jesus.
Could happen here.
Yeah, and he isn't much of a rotation man, just like Arne Slot.
Yeah.
So once you're there, then you have to do a lot wrong to get out of his.
Very harsh on White. I mean, he really hasn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
Timber's just got a bit. I mean, they're different. I'm not going to slate White just because he's been out for a couple of weeks. But Timber's just got a little bit more about him.
Yeah, but that's what City do so well. They can bench first team England national team starter for 7 weeks in a row and still play great football or great players, and then Stones comes in, and then Ruben Diaz benches for 3 games, and I think that's
push each other,
and that's obviously we always come back to Arteta being a City graduate. He knows how Pep thinks and how he can get the best out of these players. So I'd give him the benefit of the doubt with these rotations. It's frustrating for us fantasy managers, but yeah, I think even with these defenders, they will come in and don't think for a second when White comes back in, he won't do 110% again and keep Timber out for another 5 games or whatever. So yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and there's no chance you're dropping White, right? Just to talk people off the ledge.
No.
Just to make sure people aren't considering that.
And it's difficult to project his projected starts as well. Like there is every chance that he does well in training. Obviously, he's not with the national team. He does amazingly during the international break. He starts straight after the international break and doesn't get benched until like Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously Timber's still coming back from an ACL injury, and Calafiori had a similar one that almost ended his career, like I think 3 or 4 years ago. So like they're not gonna, I don't think, run either of them into the ground. And White is a workhorse and hasn't gotten injured up until this point. So there's a lot of games to go around, and I don't think we've seen the last of White. But having said that, I have White in one league, and in that league I'm trying to pick up Calafiori because that was the only league that I didn't have him in. I didn't pick him up because I already had White. So I'm really kicking myself for that. So
just the aforementioned reasons about Timber and potentially kind of softly make sure he doesn't get injured again. Are those the reasons why you aren't willing to put Calafiori in the long term, like, or rest of season risers?
Yeah. I mean, I think both of mine, Calafiori and Tarkowski, have great shouts for being long-term risers as well. But, more so, I took this as more so like their recent circumstances have changed dramatically, which have made them great assets again.
Sure.
Whether or not that continues, I'm not sure, but at least for the foreseeable future, it is.
I think that's fair for all 8 of our picks. I think we nailed it with the very little guidance that we
yes.
got.
Let's go.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but like for Tarks, he's been horrific every week, other than the last one in which Branthwaite returned, and sure enough, gets 14 ghosts just out of the blue. And we've been saying that Branthwaite is going to come back and help him, and then he always has a slow start. But for Christ's sake, like, it happened immediately.
Right.
Yeah. And
I think it ended up being 16 for what it's worth.
Was it really? Jesus.
Yeah. He got a few post.
Okay.
Final whistles.
14 plus. Jesus.
Wow.
And they have
he nearly gave
pretty
away
good
a
schedule.
penalty that game too.
I mean, he's not better as a player, but for our purpose,
he's got a better partner. That's
exactly.
very
Yeah,
important.
exactly.
Like
More than the
was
sum of their
useless.
parts.
yeah,
That's
Keane,
what a good partnership.
him and Keane bring out the worst in each other. They're just a
Oh my
toxic
God.
relationship.
I think Keane just brings out the worst in everybody. Just
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, look at the results. Like, it just the addition of Branthwaite alone. I mean, the guy just made a massive case for his value going forward, and he thinks he's going to go somewhere for a huge amount of money.
I mean, Branthwaite
United tried, right?
Also got 10 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah, Branthwaite played well. I mean, there's a reason I drafted him in every league, and then, of course, didn't hold him.
And the reason was that you weren't paying attention that he was injured.
Clearly, yeah. Well, you always have that hope. It's like it's not gonna be long term. Like, it's maybe a couple of weeks. And here we are, week 7.
Yeah, that was in your defense, like I've never seen an injury with like so little information. Honestly.
It was very strange.
But that's Daesh though. Daesh has always been weird with like players coming back to fitness. DCL last season held him until like
DCL was injured, to be fair.
Well, yeah, but
he didn't have any information to share.
Man, I don't trust half these managers. Let's be honest.
That's
Yeah. No one lies better than Ancelotti did. He
Anyhow,
clearly said James is not starting next week. He is injured. And then he ends up in the starting 11. It's like, what can you do?
Yeah. Anything else on Tarkowski? Nice. All right.
The price has gone up. If you sold low, like
the time to trade in has shot.
I have Sanjy's boy Raul Jimenez, the ever young Raul Jimenez, who
keeping out your boy, Frankie.
Keeping out my boy, who will probably feature later. I didn't put him on there only probably because one of you did. I can't I can't quite remember at the moment. But
he really is
regardless,
Malcolm in the Middle now.
Yep. So yeah, he's got that like little brother syndrome. Anyway, 13.5, 15.5, 19, all with goals. Seems unsustainable.
I don't think he can score double digits without goals.
Exactly. I would argue that it is unsustainable. So you're going to see a trend with my two guys here between Jimenez and Brennan Johnson. I actually don't think that this continues. So I'm calling them short term because I think that you sort of like Sanjy said, right until the wheels fall off. But I do think they're going to come off. I don't think that Jimenez keeps this up all season. I think that eventually Muniz comes back in. Maybe not permanently, but I think we're now in a rotation situation, which is brutal for everyone involved. Anything on that one before I move on?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's gonna last, but it's been nice.
Yeah, no, totally. If you picked him up for free, it's been a great day in the sun for you. Yeah, Jimenez. I mean, it's impossible to score a goal every single match, and when he doesn't, you're going to be pretty disappointed with his output, unfortunately. Johnson, I think, is kind of the same. I think that he is a little bit goal dependent, even though he doesn't always seem like he is. I think he's a little bit goal dependent. 15 and 18, both with goals. He's getting hooked pretty consistently around the 70th minute, which isn't always bad, but just I think you're going to see some rotation again later on. Weeks down the line, you might see some more rotation. And then even if he is just a nailed starter, I think there's going to be games like, for example, the Everton game where they won 4-0 and he scored 2.5 in 90 minutes. I just think you're going to see that sometimes from him, and it happens. So I would say after an 18 and a 15-point outing, 7 against Arsenal and then 13 against Newcastle, I think now is the time to trade him out. And that is just my opinion. I know Genie loves this guy, but yeah.
But Genie loves anybody that just runs his ass off. Ryan Christie, Johnson. What's his name? Brendan Aronson before him.
Sinistera. Yeah. For a while, he loved Sinistera, yeah.
Should just watch track.
You were saying, Sanjy.
Yeah, my only concern is like you're trying to trade forwards a position that there's a surplus in. So what are you trying? Like, what sort of midfielder do you think listeners can kind of aim for if they own these assets?
Oh, that's a great question. Because you're basically saying it's a fact that they're going to go for a midfielder.
I think so. Like on average, like a lot of the trades that I keep getting in my inbox, which are some of the worst I've ever seen in my life, are usually for midfielders that are performing well in my team.
Sure. Yeah. Could you get Tavernier over the line?
No.
What about? Okay, you don't think so?
I'm not trading
for Johnson.
For anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Man, when you sort
maybe like Cadiolo, someone like that.
Yeah, when you sort midfielders by score, it's really weird this year, guys. It's a very strange year.
I was gonna do a little quiz, but then I forgot.
Yeah.
About who has more overall points rest of the season, because it just came like it's not going to be a good quiz now. Because
that's
now
fair.
You know the spiel, but Lewis Cook actually has more points on the season than KDB.
Yeah, he does. Oh no, it doesn't really get weird. Ryan, you were saying let's hear him. It doesn't really get weird until 7. So 7 is Tavernier, which I think is a little bit weird. We didn't expect that. Mitoma, Bowen, and then Ndidi. Again.
Leicester's number 10.
We go through some common names. Madueke, okay, after the hat trick, sure. Kulusevski has actually been a revelation in that number 10 role, which is interesting. Eze. Then we go for a nice run of Souček, Barnes, Lamina, Iwobi, Cook, Rogers. Before we come back to Andreas, and then KDB, Yori Tielemans, Emil
thought it
Smith
was
Rowe,
dumb.
Alma Diallo, and then Amadou Onana, followed by Carlos Baleba.
Yeah, that's weird.
That gets us through 25. That's just so strange. Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. Savio okay.
I probably wouldn't I wouldn't trade out Johnson for Savio. I think Johnson has much better projected starts than Savio does.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like how Savio ghosts, and I think Pep really likes him. So
Yeah.
I think I'd just.
Yeah, it's definitely close. It's definitely close. It's one of those what we have said every time we talk about a City player. It's a good trade if you have another City asset.
Yeah.
If Savio is going to be your only City player, then you will, I don't know, kick yourself in the stomach if you every time, because they're playing 2 more Champions League games, which means that there are 2 more midweeks than what they usually have, which means there are 2 more weeks when they are definitely, almost certainly done for Sunday, which means less rotation, less chance of a movable roster spot to help with benching.
Yeah.
So you need even more City players than what you usually do.
I think you could probably move Brennan Johnson for maybe somebody like an Andres Pereira, or maybe somebody like Bernardo Silva, who has been scoring kind of mediocre levels. You could probably do Soboslai, although I don't know that I'd want him over Johnson, to be honest.
Would you go for any of the underperforming clubs, like West Ham, Manchester United midfield assets? Maybe like Kudus, for example, got subbed off 45 minutes. I'm not saying you can get Kudus for either one of these players, but I don't know what happens if you package them together and send that to the Kudus owner. Would you want that Kudus risk? Would you want that Lopetegui lifestyle?
Yeah, I would. For Brennan Johnson, I would.
And that is a great segue again to Sanjy's biggest short-term fallers.
There you go.
Let's do
it.
it.
All right. We're doing, man.
All right, Sanjy. So we're moving on to short-term fallers. So these are the guys who in the short term are falling. The question is, will they continue to free fall, or do you see any sort of bright spot on the horizon? Who you got? Obviously, Kudus being one of them.
Yeah, surely Lopetegui gets fired, right? Like,
please God.
I mean,
please
there's
God.
Like, you're slowly slowly starting to see like leaks and rumors about unsettled discussions.
Did you guys see that he was singling out Kudus after the game?
Yeah.
For not contributing to the team.
Yeah. Post-match even. Yeah, he was like, I made the subs, we started playing like a team. Like, that is like a blatant call out to, it feels like, to Kudus. It's just like, you're not playing like you're part of the team or whatever. Yeah, it's bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. I think something eventually has to change. Like, they've got way too many talented players, even like on paper, on pitch, any sort of saying you want to put out there. Yeah, it's crazy. We're talking about like a end of round 1, maybe. Basically round 2 asset, right? Early round 2. I would tell managers to try and be patient if you can, and don't undersell an asset like Kudus, because we're talking about a player that got the most dribbles last season, didn't even play all the games, and we're talking by a massive margin. I think he was the only player in triple digits for successful dribbles. So
yeah, and he was from the day of his first start to the end of the season, he was the 9th highest scoring overall player.
Damn.
In the game.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think be patient. Things should hopefully change. The other asset I have is Muniz, your boy Frankie, Joe.
Yep.
I agree. Like we are seeing the good side to Raul Jimenez, and we know the ugly side as well, right? And we're seeing a bit of it as well in terms of the ghost point production. The only hope I'd give for Raul is the fact that I just think that Fulham team as a unit is just great, and any striker that they have really should be getting goals, getting ghost points. And I mean, Muniz was getting ghost points, right? But Marco Silva doesn't give a shit about that. He cares about goals. So unless that changes, which I think it can, because strikers go through purple patches all the time, right? And there's a very good chance, Raul's one might fade over an international break because you lose that consistency playing with the team, etc. So, during the international break, stash Muniz, I say, right? Because injuries are also a thing that is happening quite frequently this season, and you could get lucky if you stash that forward. So, I think he's a great asset.
Has he been dropped in your leagues? I think he's being held in all 3 of my leagues.
I mean, I think it depends on the roster that any manager has, right? If they're pushed into a corner for a win, I would say I don't mind dropping Muniz to win my game week, right? If he's not starting,
especially in testing.
I'm just curious if in your guys' leagues,
I haven't been
no.
keeping a track personally, but
No.
Totti, you mentioned a great point, right? There are 10-man league teams that are out there in our community, so for them, I think it's a easy decision. But 12-man, yeah, it's very debatable. Like, are you holding on to Muniz or are you holding on to Nkunku, sort of thing? So,
Whoa. That's close.
That's a good question.
2 forward ones.
2 forward ones. Muniz's rostership is down 6%, according to Fantrax. But again, we don't quite know what that means.
What is it?
Sorry, 1 second. Of course, I just cleared the search box, so it is 80%.
Yeah, I think people are being patient with him.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Toddy, you want to go?
Yep. It's gonna be quick though. Short-term fallers. I know, Ryan, you're out, and you have been out on Shade.
You got to rise to be able to fall. I mean, this dude is going from like.
The assumption from me was that the rise was mainly on expectation rather than actual rise, because with even with Tony gone, people were, including myself, were thinking that he would get a more pronounced role, and especially with the Wissa injury, there was not going to be a way that he's not going to have an ultimately successful and pivotal role in the Brentford attack. But it's all coming up, Brian, right now, and he's actually in and out of the team as well. So I've seen, with the Wissa injury, I've seen people splash around 20-ish fab on him, which has been money down the drain. I think even with the nice schedule that we've mentioned several times now, he's nothing more than a streamer at this point. My other two is a double header. I just can't resist Slash. Ryan, I've learned from the best.
Right, Ryan is truly rubbed off at this point. Yeah.
Yep, it's the winger double up from Nottingham Forest, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, both of whom started the season on fire, both in fantasy terms and in real life, and have then fallen off, and now they're not starters, neither one of them. It looks like Nuno has actually found a new formation that works better, he thinks. The formation helped them beat Liverpool and then lose their unbeaten run to Fulham. So it's 1-1 at this point for the new formation that doesn't include any of their electric wingers. I think they will both be fine long term, but short term, I have Elanga in one of my leagues, and I'm a bit worried. And he's circling the Muniz and Kunku sort of range in a sense that when and if I'm backed up in a situation with a lot of benchings, then I'd probably consider dropping him. Yeah, this unknown person just came in to troll in the chat, and he says it's too early to write up Shada completely for me, but I just got here. There's nothing that I said earlier that would have convinced you, Evan, not to write him off. Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to get him every time that he starts in a good matchup. Sure. But I just don't think he necessarily offers rest of season value.
No. It may not be too early to write him off, but it is. You should not be rostering him still. Like, keep an eye out.
You should either be rostering him and knowing that you would be able to drop him, or should not be rostering and looking to pick him up if he starts in the
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that he's still a high upside streamer, but he hasn't shown enough ghosting ability and hasn't shown enough eye for goal to warrant a long-term hold.
Yeah.
For me, at least. And I'm a big fan.
Oh, I like it. Makes sense to me. Anything to add on those other gentlemen? Otherwise, Ryan, kick it off.
I like CHO as a player and as a fantasy asset, so I wouldn't be opposed to potentially buying low on him. I think he still has potential. Elanga, even when he's played, really hasn't shown me much. He's been fairly goal dependent and not really scoring. So
he's a genie player. He's just pace. He's mostly pace.
Funny you mention that. Both of these guys are. I reviewed Genie's article earlier today, and both of them are in it. So spot on.
There you go. Are they as what, trade in?
Yeah, trade. Yeah, buy low. I think
buy low. Yeah.
They are fallers, but
doesn't mean they're not buy low.
Have to.
You have to cradle them and catch them.
I don't know that I'm buying Elanga low. With CHO, I might take the risk. It's tough with forwards, man. Yeah.
It's really weird hearing you guys say CHO. By the way, I've never ever heard.
Because you call him Cho. You call him
Cho. Let's go.
That's not weird.
Yeah.
I'm part of the percentage that also goes with Bilva and Milva and yeah.
Milva? What's a Milva?
Who's Milva?
Marco Silva. Come on now.
No.
Do you also stay starting XI?
Starting G.
I know. Starting G.
Starting XI. Don't admit to that if you do, Sanjy. You're really going to throw yourself under the bus here.
Well, now I'm going to do it on my pod. So for that idea.
All right, Ryan.
A
little bit of aforementioned status.
Yeah, I got a little segue as well. I mean, kind of had White dovetailing with the fortunes of Calafiori. Not writing him off yet, but you have to say that he's been a disappointment. I thought he was overdrafted from Jump Street. I didn't think he would keep up his crazy numbers from last season, but I thought he would still be good and relatively nailed, but hasn't been the case. Hasn't really scored that well, other than clean sheets, and even when he gets a clean sheet, it hasn't been more than 9 or 10. So hasn't been ghosting, hasn't been really linking up with Saka that much, and now he has an injury. So as we talked about he might struggle to get his spot back, and we still don't know the extent of the injury. They've been very hush-hush about it, which could be concerning. So didn't even make the bench on Champions League. I read that he was close, but yeah, if he doesn't make the bench this weekend, then yeah, things are going to get interesting. But then we have the international break, so
yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not buying low, and I'm not, selling him for pennies on the dollar. I think it's a kind of wait and see for Mr. White. Yeah, I put Doku in here because another guy who went early, the third round in most of my leagues, and has been pretty disappointing. And I shouted out Grealish this week. He's been good, and has kept Doku out of the starting lineup last weekend, and I think that might continue. So not only is Doku not producing, but I think he's going to find it difficult to get consistent starts. So if you don't have Grealish cuffed with Doku, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think that's true. What are other people's takes on Doku? I was never super keen on him because I mean, super rotation piece, and he doesn't actually always score very well. Like sometimes he comes out with a stinker, which is surprising. 4.5 against Arsenal in 69. Just under 6 against Ipswich in a 4-1 win in 70 minutes.
I like to watch him because but he has the same exact move every time.
Yeah,
I like the idea of him.
Suss it out. Yeah, I like the concepts of the plan for Doku. But,
are you saying this as an Arsenal fan and a rival for the title?
No, I like watching him. I think I love the successful dribbles. I'm a Ghost Point fan first, Sanjy.
So that's why
before Arsenal is the right term.
GPFC.
So yeah, I was excited about him for that reason. But yeah, third tie, and yeah, you have to spend a 6th or 7th round pick on top of that to cuff him with Grealish. So it was a lot to pay.
Yeah.
Would you trade someone like Wood to get in Doku?
Yeah. Positionally, and especially if I had another City asset, I still think he's going to have some monsters. It's just going to be tough to roster him by himself, but to give up Wood for him, I definitely would.
Whoa.
Also, I don't know if Wood can keep up what he's doing this season as well. I don't know.
How could
I didn't expect him. Yeah.
I mean, he pulled it off last season. He's shown he can score goals in bunches, but if he doesn't, he drops 2.5. So you just got to price that in. So I'm fine with that as my forward 3.
Right, totally. You got him in the 11th round or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in my underrated article.
Yeah,
Love
totally.
him so far. And he's on penalties, for Christ's sake.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me. Actually, we'll get to him later. Nice. All right. Should I kick off with Brighton?
Go for it.
All right, sweet. So I've got Minte and Pedro. I think it's fairly obvious why both of these are on here. My question for you guys is short-term fallers, buy low, or are you guys worried?
I'm more worried about Minte than Pedro, I would say, unless the injury is bad. Because I think if he's healthy, he's a fixture in this lineup. Minte, I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, he started off, right? He started off like he was nailed, I think, for the first, 3 weeks. And you thought people who drafted him thought, they'd really kind of pulled the wool over their opponent's eyes. And then, reality sort of set in, and he has not been starting. You've had to potentially move him into your lineup and then make sure you have a replacement every single week, which is never a good spot to be in. It's getting kind of frustrating, I think, as a manager. But I don't know. I think the upside is there, and I hate to say this, I sort of view him like I do City assets at this point. He's kind of actually pretty akin to Doku.
I think I thought that Minte was going to be a good cuff with Adingra. Because that's what happened in the first 3 games. Adingra came on in around 60 minutes, and he actually was really sharp and got really good and scored, I think, and assisted in the first 3 off the bench.
Yeah.
But then when Minte got benched, it wasn't Adingra who came in. And
Adingra's not playing either.
And Adingra came in last game week, and he dropped, I think, a goose egg. So I think the new manager, new sort of new Brighton shine has come off a bit, especially with Palmer slapping them around last week. I think they will still be decent, and Minte and Pedro will both be fine. If you can buy low, I'd do that on both of them. But yeah, I definitely understand their spot on the short-term fallers.
Yeah.
I have Pedro and
frustrating.
Frustrating, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Before we move on quick, ZB added that Bailey has to be a short-term faller. Do you guys see him that way?
Potentially long-term.
I would say long-term.
You think he's lost the spot?
I think the injuries are coming back. Like there was a good run last season of no injuries, but he was never going to keep that up. And now we are seeing a few more niggles, early subs, non-starts, and now the sub on, sub off today against Bayern.
Terrible.
So yeah, I think he's no long-term rest of the season hold, I think.
All right, well, let's put that to the test. Old Scruffy said in his league, Robbo and Bailey just got traded for Souček and Adama.
Ultimate buy low versus sell high.
Yeah.
Robbo and Bailey.
I wouldn't want Bailey, and I would only want Robbo like super long term. I think he kind of reversed to the mean somehow. But Adama is just lights out, and he is the only reason
had a bump this weekend.
He had a bump, yeah. But the only reason we were always putting him down was that he never scores and never assists, and his crosses never see the attackers, and that has not been the case this season.
And a manager hasn't consistently started him. And
right.
Happening.
Exactly, and I was a bit worried when Reece Nelson did well in the cup, and thought that he might have it.
Still might,
but yeah, he might get the spot from someone else as well. All of those Fulham players have been playing non-stop in the first 6 games. So if there is rotation coming, it might as well be for ESR or Iwobi or anyone else.
True.
That's true.
And I don't think Adama, I think a prejudice state sort of makes us think that it's going to be Adama, but based on what he's shown this season, and based on Milva's faith in him.
Oh Christ!
Love you, buddy. I do wanna touch on this Adama drop off slightly though.
Yeah.
I mean, their fixtures to start the season were pretty easy, right? I want to say Forest is probably the toughest defense that they came up against so far.
That's hilarious because United is in there. Nice job.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's a given.
Come on, lads, it's United.
Well, Newcastle. I mean, I know Newcastle's not.
Newcastle are trash right now.
Well,
this season.
I mean, the drop off is literally one game.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. Like the next few teams that they're playing are supposed to be better defensively, right? City, Villa, Everton. Everton improved. I know the start of the season, if you look at the numbers, obviously it looks terrible.
God, Adama's gonna eat him alive.
What are we? Ashley Young is not going to
Ashley
be able
Young,
to keep up.
God,
I mean,
I
honestly,
can't wait for the counterattacks against City too.
I do not trust. I don't know what DraftLad has in store for us regarding projections for Adama against
Let
City.
me see. I have him in every league, so I can find out.
Oh yes.
8.2.
Well, and that's pure ghost, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's decent.
Yeah.
I want to take you back to a cold, snowy night in December
Yes.
in 2019.
Yes.
This was the third day of Christmas. And the Dama dropped 39 points on
Yep.
City.
Yep.
39, man.
I did
never benching him against City.
I did an entire podcast about this. People can go look it up if they want to. I did an entire podcast when people are talking about like, oh, let's look at one of the great performances in draft fantasy. I did an entire podcast where I counted every single one of his points that he scored on that match.
Well, I can't believe you didn't invite me.
You can line it up. You can line it up with the commentary. I think. Was it the one that you did?
Yeah. Yep. You can line it up with the commentary.
You
can like
a
actually
couple monsters against him, and I sometimes I conflate the two. Is this the one where he just?
This is the one when he went down to the byline.
Mindy and just bodied Mindy and then took it off him. Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Ever tell you about the Mindy story?
You have a Mindy story?
Oh
Yeah,
Julie?
He DM'd my wife before he was
convicted.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember.
He just said hola.
That's
That's the effort.
He
Hola,
just
that
said
was-
hola.
Yeah.
I bet you that works on most
that
people.
works. That
Game,
was what I was gonna say. That works. I'm sure that works for a lot of girls.
Takes a little extra effort for your lady, though. Good on you, Ryan.
Thank you. Anywho.
Anywho.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to dig that up. I want to listen to it.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good one. All right, let's move on to biggest rest of season risers. Biggest rest of season risers. I don't know that we'll have to take too long on most of these. I think that they're pretty obvious, but just a thought for people who are looking to maybe trade in some guys, or if they're already in form, guys to potentially go out there and sell the farm for, to see if you can't just get them in, because we have a lot of faith in these guys continuing what they're doing. So Sanjy, why don't you kick us off again?
I was gonna suggest you to
I can do it
because I love the Odegaard pun.
Okay, let me add it.
Yeah.
All right, so I went with Odegaard. Here's a couple of reasons why. First of all, coming back from the injury, obviously, right? So rest of season, he has to rise. There's nothing he can do except for rise from where he's at now. The other thing is, when you look at his numbers previously for the 3 games that he did start, they're actually pretty poor. 9.5 against Wolves, 6 against Villa, and 5 against Brighton. I just honestly see him as having nowhere to go but up. I think that once this team is humming, once Marino's in there, he's going to have a lot more freedom up front. And Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I just think that he's going to have a lot more creative freedom and a lot less defensive duties in the middle of the park. He's going to be able to get forward more. He's going to be able to contribute offensively. I think he's got a big second half of the season coming up.
I hope that's right. The first couple performances caused some concern. My big concern with Odegaard was like the lack of like a lot of like monsters to warrant. He's got some games where he gets like 14, 15, which is great, but not many like 30-point game week winning performances that you'd want out of a first rounder. The thing with Odegaard is that he lives and dies on is whether or not he shoots the freaking ball. Like he has an amazing left foot and can score 15 goals a season if he wants to. He's just like a very pass first kind of guy. And 2 seasons ago, he was actually like letting it rip, and that's when he scored as many goals as he did. So like coming back from injury, I want to see him like letting off some shots, and that'll I think tell us if he's going to be worthy of that draft pick or not. But yeah, as you said, there's nowhere to go but up. And yeah, I really want to see this team with a fully fit, optimal 11. See how we go.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be floodgates, personally. But we'll see. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think now's the time. If you want Odegaard, yes, you'll still have to pay a pretty hefty price, but I think it's just up from here, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think? Sanjy, why were you intrigued by this one?
No, just because we're talking about a first round, early second rounder pick. A lot of managers, just patiently holding on to their bench, and like you guys alluded to, not a great start to the season points wise as well. So it's very interesting what managers are kind of doing with him, right? Especially it's a midfielder asset as well, right? A mid one. Everyone wants mids. We mention it every single pod. Yeah, so I thought I just wanted to make sure we give enough airtime to I think a pick that doesn't go get talking about a lot, because like you started the segment, a lot of these players I don't think we need to spend too much time on. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah, you're right, but Odegaard maybe is actually a little bit different on that, because like you said, we don't talk about him much because he's been injured and he hasn't scored well. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, Sanjy, here's another one you can help me out with. Nico Jackson. I mean, I just think all the questions have been answered. All the questions that we had coming into the season, I think they've been answered. There's not a new forward there. There's not a high money forward coming in.
Not for the lack of trying.
Not for the lack of trying.
Yeah.
And there is a very much higher than non-zero chance that they will still go back in for Osimhen in January.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Who knows?
So, I mean, okay. So you have from now until potentially February of him scoring basically game week winning scores, with the exception of just a couple of games. Like he is absolutely on fire. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. I don't know why you would bench him unless it's just for rotational rest. But otherwise, I think he's bang on. I think he's incredible.
Yeah, I heard an interesting point on a different footy pod that this is the player that we expected Darwin to be in terms of the XG numbers and all of that. So it's I know. Yeah, I mean I just want to get a Liverpool's fan's take on that. But I mean Jackson he's basically forward one, I want to say. Even against Brighton, I would say he was a bit unlucky not to get some attacking returns for some managers out there. Yeah, man, this guy sets and forget. He's playing next to Cole Palmer, one of the best players in the game, and I think just by that fact, he's going to ease his way into points for managers.
Yeah,
I think the issue
finishing is still very poor.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, he's a shit finisher, 100%.
That's what I
just wanted to get that out there.
No. That point has never. Yeah, I will always agree with that. But the thing is, the fact that he's getting those opportunities is great.
Yeah,
he's still prone to 2 or 3 instances that
yellow cards.
He looks like Bambi on ice.
Totally.
He's like, how is this guy a Premier League forward? Every game he has 2 or 3 instances where he's getting the ball, he's trying to dribble, and then turns the other way or something like that. But his scores speak for themselves.
And I like to remind people he's only 23 years old. He looks a lot older than he does, right? So
he looks a lot older.
It's like the Will Hughes effect, right? One of those sort of situations. Old watch salesman, as you like to love, put it in a lovely way.
Magic beans.
Oh, magic beans, right?
Yeah.
Legumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jackson will just improve. I think that there's going to be levels, but yeah, we'll see.
I can see that.
Nice. Well, Sanjay, let's stay with Chelsea, and you can talk about Sancho.
Yeah, wow. Pleasant surprise for, I don't know, United fans, Chelsea fans. Like, who's happy, who's angry here? Because yeah, I honestly, I'm buzzing for Jadon Sancho as a footballer, right? We all know how talented this kid is. He got to the Champions League final as well with Dortmund last season. Yeah, I had a tough time at Manchester United under Ten Hag, and now given a new lease of life, he seems to have that left wing spot nailed. And I think it's also thanks to Mudryk being quite shit, given his chances. So it's almost like a situation
Yes,
where there's no
quite
real
shit.
competition for him. So it also
There are
helps Sancho's-
45 players, all of them
I mean-
left wing, all of them left wingers, and
No,
there's
we've
no
got-
competition for one left winger.
We've got like 12 or 13 goalkeepers, Toddy. Let's get our numbers correct.
That's
You
fair.
know?
That's fair.
Not all of them are left wingers.
Most
But
of the
yeah,
rest are, though.
yeah, exactly. they're just on loan, or they're playing with the development team or some of that.
Yeah, and
but-
they're on
but
loan
the-
on the right wing.
Yeah, exactly. Someone has to give Madrid a competition as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's what has he got? 4 assists in 3 games, something like that. 3 and 4. Like he's getting consistent returns. I mean, the minutes are going to be a slight concern. Like you're seeing this with Palmer, with Jackson, like the early subs and stuff. But I think for now, like, yeah, I don't see why anyone would displace him or why he'd lose that spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And Maresca seems like the type of guy who, he's gonna stick with his favorite players. I think he rotates a little bit, but he's not. I mean, certainly last year he didn't rotate a ton. So,
yeah.
But again, that was a much different squad. Yeah, I don't know. Really quickly, we'll move on, but very quickly, Ben Chicken's asking, is all of Chelsea a rest of season riser?
I mean, even if there were, they're just a nightmare to roster other than the few that are nailed on.
Yeah.
Obviously, Palmer and Jackson are at this point probably the only ones that are truly nailed on.
Right. Some of us started Cucurella last week against their better judgment.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Some of us
touch
should
any
keep
of
that
the
to themselves.
defender- like other than Colwell, I don't think I want any other defenders, and even then, I don't want to start Colwell.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
You just want to have
Beautiful.
them.
Yeah, Chelsea. So
Ryan, you want to go?
yeah. So quickly.
Oh,
on
sorry.
Community-
No, I skipped your other one, Sanjy. My bad.
No.
Please,
It's okay.
please.
I mean, it's a quick one, just because like there was a lot of doubts over his minutes and all that, and him staying fit, and then Kwanzaa starting the season. But then since that halftime sub, Konate's not looked back.
No.
Won a few set piece goals as well. Yeah, he just seems to have that spot nailed, and I think it seems like almost like the Matip of this season, right? In terms of the value you're getting from that Liverpool defense.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I tell myself every season, no, don't just pick one, just take both of them at the draft, and whoever actually wins the spot, drop the other one. And of course, I just took Kwanzaa, and somebody else took fucking Konate.
Yep.
And here we are.
Exactly.
And the rise of Kwanzaa during draft season was unbelievable.
Because Genie can lead these crazy PR campaigns that just send somebody to the stratosphere like GameStop.
Genie's found his calling.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should be a penny stock promoter.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't tell him that, because he'll go to another 10 years of school just to do it. But
I mean, he still won't be able to
37
log
license.
on. He still won't be able to log on.
oh yeah, he'll have to create an
actual
account, so he wouldn't be able to do
transfer.
it.
Yeah.
The least tech savvy. Is he a Zoomer? He's probably a Zoomer, isn't he?
I guess
What
so.
what is Zoomer?
He's not Gen Z, is he? No.
No. The Zoomer's like the after the millennials. That's what. Yeah.
See, this is really confusing as a Trinidadian, because back home we have a snack called Zoomers, and I was like, what's this going on?
Nice.
What is it?
Some cheesy snack, just
Sounds great.
it is fantastic.
I'm in. Yeah.
I mean, it was Genie, so make
Like
up.
You had me at cheese.
Yep. All right. I completely
Like a
agree with you, Sanjy.
But not as crunchy. a bit softer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like the bag. Okay, got it.
I'll send you a picture. Don't worry.
Yeah. No, send me a bag.
Send me a bag.
I will.
It's the only way I can really.
No, that's
like-
fair.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fair.
it's like a cheesy puff, but a different texture, different.
It looks like the X-Men logo in snack form, really.
Oh, I'm seeing it. Yeah, it does look like the X-Men logo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry to almost skip you, Sanjy. I'm glad you spoke up. Ryan, now it's your turn.
Okay, great.
Finally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Foden, but this one like just writes itself. Obviously, he's had some weird thing going on, which has kept him out of the starting lineup the first several weeks. Seems to have gotten it out of his system. Pep was praising him midweek after Champions League, and I'd be surprised if he didn't crack on from here. I assume he'll start this weekend, and then that'll be that for at least a while until it gets his inevitable random rotation. And I don't really know what the market is for him right now. I mean, players like this that managers are just so bitter about. They don't want to let him go for
You're
pennies
right
on the dollar. So they're just
As they shouldn't.
yeah.
I
So
agree.
like
Yeah.
there's no buying low with like these types of guys, unfortunately. So
Yeah, the only situation I could see, and I have one of those in one of my leagues, is that if your rest of the draft didn't go that well either, and you're stranded at the bottom of the league, and you can swing a deal that strengthens you across the board. I could see that happening, like players that were not touted during the draft but have been coming up since then. Like if we look at the players that we talked about, like I could see a win-win trade if you did like Adama, Tavernier, Konate for Foden.
Oh,
Because
wow.
that gives you three like legit hot win now type players in three positions, and
I don't think anyone's doing that.
I was thinking of those first two, like exactly when you said that. So good on you.
What about trade Rapier, the sword?
Listen, I'm so glad he clarified what it was.
That is incredible. What a name. Jota and Ferdy for Foden.
I'm not
No.
accepting that as a Foden.
Wow.
roster.
Okay.
Nah, that's a no for me, dog.
All right. Cool. I agree with you, Ryan, and I hope you're right.
I don't, but I think it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martinelli talked about it as well. When Marino and Calafiori are set on that left side, I think it's really gonna open him up. But at the same time, with Odegaard back fit, that means Trossard's not going to be playing that right center mid role anymore. So he'll be back competing with Martinelli for left wing minutes. So he'll be chomping at the heels of Martinelli again. But I still think that Martinelli's the preferred option if given the choice by Arteta. So unfortunately, it's going to be tough to really get him on any sort of low, since he just like the last 2 weeks has been really good, and they got Southampton this weekend. So it's another one that I don't know what you can get. But people might still be skittish about the potential rotation with Trossard if they don't also have Trossard. So it's worth trying to see what the market is.
Yeah. Totally. I like it.
Agreed.
I like it. All right, Toddy, you're last.
I'm lost. I'm going with two of the names of the first 6 weeks. Both of them, I think, will either keep on doing what they are doing already or amp it up even further. Brian Mbomo and Marcus Tavernier, both of them have been outperforming their draft stock very much, and both of them are in great positions on teams that rely on them heavily, and they're very involved. So they get a lot of goals. They get goals and assists as well on teams that for Bournemouth, a team that scores but tries to score even more. That way they get a ton of goals. And Mbomo is just siphoning all attacking points and all attacking momentum.
Yeah.
So he's
such a stud.
He's getting everything going through him. I would be surprised if he didn't have a ton of suitors at the end of the season if he keeps this up.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, great player. I love watching him play. He's strong. He's fast. He gets into great positions. He's
within the first minute of the game.
He's a very good finisher as well.
Awesome.
Like
he's awesome.
I think he's underrated as a finisher too. Like
volleys are nasty.
He's got a good cross on him too. I mean, he does everything.
He's a great Mo Salah replacement, to be honest.
Liverpool were apparently there were rumors over the summer that Liverpool were interested in him, and I was like, yes, please, that. But
you can't tell me he's not 35.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I think they're twins with Jackson.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
the true Freddie Adu air.
No, he's got that. I mean, it makes me wonder. He's that, like in some countries, how like particularly like Latin American countries, they don't keep records, and so you'll have like a 18-year-old playing in like the U15 league or whatever, and it's just like, why is this guy so good?
Do you remember? Do you remember the guy who plays for Lazio a few years back, who played there, was signed under the under 21 rule or something like that in Italy, and then turned out he was 41.
Hell yes, I love that so much.
I'm not sure if I've told you guys this story. I was for a brief time when I didn't have kids or family. I was serving on the board of the Hungarian Cricket Association.
Hell yes.
And,
okay.
And we have,
yeah. Sanji's like, wait, I'm here for this story.
Yeah,
the HCA.
Yeah. and we had a few teams who were mostly made up of refugees from Afghanistan, and Pakistan, and they were living in a refugee camp on one of the borders of Hungary, and we had to ask for special dispensation for them to travel to games to play in the Hungarian Cricket League. And for that, we needed their documents. And we asked for the documents. And I shit you not, every one of their passports said born on the 1st of January.
Wow.
And I talked to the guy who was their captain and who spoke really good English and now speaks amazing Hungarian and has integrated into the Hungarian society as a Hungarian wife and everything. So he works in one of the Big Four. He's a really, really good, successful guy, and he was telling me that it's not that they didn't have records, or it's not that they didn't know as they were coming in. He was asked, his father was asked what his birth date was, and his father could only tell the year based on harvests and changes of the and he literally could not tell the month and day. He just said that he knew the years were different, but all of them were registered for 1st of January.
Be cool to not know how old you were.
It kind of would.
honestly.
Yeah. Who gives a shit, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of get it. Like,
No.
You
That's
all
fair.
look mid-20 to me, so.
ah,
That's
it's because you don't have
That's a lie.
decent facial hair.
yeah. No, that's that
Not-
for me.
yeah,
That's
not me.
exactly what it is. For me, it's exactly what it is. Yeah. When I first started substitute teaching, I would always get asked if I was a student all the time by the teachers at the school.
Are you serious?
But that was many moons ago at this point. Totti, I'm gonna keep you talking because Trade Rapier, the sword, has commented as far as rest of season risers are concerned. He said, "Is Bruno not on here because he is still perceived highly, or because he's not expected to rise?" And I'm gonna go ahead and just change the slide and let you continue talking.
Thank you. I was being deliberately vague with my pick because I think this Bruno refers to both Brunos.
Oh, I see.
Bruno G and Bruno F.
Yeah, so
You should
Bruno
have put
G.
F/G.
I think you're right. I think you're
Should
right.
just
on
put
both, actually.
Bruno's.
I've used my slash already. My slash quota was
I
done.
think I've shown you that it's unlimited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's unlimited for you. But I thought
At your leisure.
like Padawans were only allowed one slash per slide.
That's fair. Yeah, you got to build up.
It makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, as far as Bruno G goes, I think we were kind of expecting him to regress to his usual defensive midfielder situation once Tonali, Willock, and all the other classically more attacking-minded midfielders were back into the fold, and that is just what happened this season. He's not that far advanced, and and generally Newcastle don't look that good advancing through the midfield as they did some parts of last season. As for Bruno Fernandes, who we should probably spend a bit more time talking about, he's just not one of those guys who could easily benefit from this type of tactics.
No.
that ETH does. Like he's we talked about this, I think 2 or 3 pods ago. He's not one of those guys like you would have McAllister or Tonali even, who sits back and pings passes around to runners. So he's not getting the assists from all the counters,
Right.
and all the Garnacho, Diallo, and Rashford runs. But he doesn't have the legs to actually do the running and be the one pushing the defense back.
Yep.
I think he thrives in more of a setup attack where he can find the thread the needle pass. He can do 1-2s and be in great positions to ping a shot off from the edge of the area and stuff like that. But with this system, they're letting all the teams shoot willy-nilly and attack on them, and they're trying to do counters, and they actually have a decent batch of forwards to do counters, I think. Like Garnacho, Rashford, Diallo, even Xerxes, all fast, nippy, able to turn and run. But the midfield is not there to give you the release pass.
But he still scored well the last 2 seasons under ETH, and it's just been a shell of himself this season thus far. So well, first of all, I don't know what ETH's tactics are, so I don't know if they've changed or not.
Fair.
But
That's fair.
he scored 15 a game the past 2 seasons under ETH, and now he's at like 6. So I just don't.
I still think he's decent round 1-2 asset. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he's he's a top 5 asset this
No.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
say that he
the-
is after the first 6 games.
That's the clarification I think that we need to make, right? Is that like he'll still have value.
We still
And if
have good value. Like
Yeah, and if you can get him cheap right now, do it.
someone who hasn't heard the news that he's not actually suspended.
Right.
Yeah, if you pounced on that would be nice.
Or just someone who's down on him.
I'm genuinely afraid to check if Fantrax have updated their flags.
Yeah, that's a good question. He does not have a flag.
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
But only because they didn't hop on the news of the suspension in the first place. So it's more laziness than anything.
There you go.
Yeah.
The news blurb is, as expected, always has a little bit of a slant to it. Fernandez was expected to miss the club's next 3 matches due to a red card he picked up in Sunday's match. However, his appeal claim has proved successful, and he will now serve no suspension at all. He should return to the starting 11 immediately, as he is the club's most crucial player. Got to sprinkle in some opinion in there as well, right?
Jumping to conclusions?
Right.
Yeah.
Map?
It's a jump to conclusions, Matt. Anyway, all right.
That you
Yes.
can jump to.
It's got different conclusions that you can jump to.
Yeah, so I think that's about it for Bruno. And my other pick is Gabby J, who had slight, like very slight hope around him.
But why?
I mean, even you, Ryan.
I think it's preseason. So.
Ryan, even you said that he's great value in round 5 or around round 5, and you wanna grab you some of that because
I'm an addict.
Yeah, I know you're an addict.
But I only allowed myself to do it the one league where I have Kai. I didn't jump on him in any other league because
That's fair. But
I
even
knew
if
that
you
Kai was going to be the guy.
Wait, have you dropped Jesus there?
Even if you got him in round 6 or 7, which was definitely good value on draft day, or as we thought was good value, he's still droppable, so he's not round 6 or 7 value.
Yeah.
Yeah, I approached this with what the expectations were.
The issue for me isn't that he's droppable. That's fine if he's droppable. The issue is if he's ever going to be pick-upable.
Barring an injury to Kai, I don't think so. Or injuries to several wingers.
If he's dropped and you see him starting, he's definitely pick-upable.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the only way. But
and that's where we're at with him.
I mean, is that like Connor Bradley category?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's Simicus.
Simicus, Bradley, Jesus.
Gabriel Jesus is Simicus.
I'm gonna love him during the festive season.
Oh, pick him up. I
mean, Jesus comes around in the festive season.
That's right. Yeah. And then I'll pick him back up in April.
There it is.
Hey.
I like that. All right, let me buzz through mine, guys, because they'll be pretty quick, I think. JP Mateta, I think, speaks for himself. He's just brutal. Just absolutely brutal. We talked about
20-something pointer.
What?
I liked his 20-something pointer
with the 2 goals.
Against Leicester? Yeah, sure. They're terrible. Sorry, Fantrax Fox.
You don't have to say sorry.
Yeah,
he's in the chat. He's in the chat.
But he's well aware of. He's well aware of
it. All right.
He
anyway,
has to watch this shit every week. I think he's more aware than we are.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, he's terrible, and just it was never going to be sustainable from last season. We talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago. I don't need to bang on about it, but yeah, he's in rest of season faller. He might be droppable. Honestly, it's pretty brutal. And then this one breaks my heart. I have him in both leagues. Morgan Gibbs White is pretty rough at this point in time. has lost most sets, if not all sets. He Fantrax Fox has responded to my comment, and I apologized already, so I won't do it again. Anyway, yeah, and yeah, Gibbs White. I mean, he's just not scoring as well as he normally does. I don't know that it's even that he's that dependent on the sets. I just think things aren't coming together. JWP's taking various different portions of the offense and sort of spearheading those. He just, it's just not there for him this season. He's going to end up being more of like a mid 2 probably, meaning anywhere from 13 to 24 than he probably is a mid 1, unfortunately. So I just think that's where we're at with him.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because you watch their games and he's like still very active and integral to their attack. It's just no sets, no pens.
Yeah.
He's really reliant upon goal or assist producing actions, and they're just not flowing. So I still have a little bit of faith in him, but he's built up such name recognition that he's not going to go for what value he should be and what he is now.
Right.
So it's kind of if you have him, you're going to hold him, and that's it.
Let's see, 8.6 ghosts per start, which is pretty good. He's only 24% dependent on goals, assists, and clean sheets for his fantasy numbers, but that is, of course, his fantasy numbers for this year.
Yeah,
which aren't as impressive as last year or the year before. So,
yeah, it's
Even
just
then, it
to
wasn't
get
very
second
much.
round value, he has to score goals.
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
exactly.
But even last season, he wasn't very dependent on set pieces. He took a bunch of them, but they just didn't end
Poorly.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he also dropped some negative scores. I remember Joe.
Yeah.
Did you have him? Like he was bringing you pain like every game week.
I had
And
him
you
last
took him
year as well.
again?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've never
Come
had
back to the
him
poison well.
other than
And,
streaming and Wolves.
Yeah.
Joe likes to suffer, I think.
I do.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a sadist
absolutely.
thing.
Masochist thing is what
Yeah,
it
Master.
is.
Totally.
Yeah, but there's a little sadism in there as well.
I mean, he's
Joe gets weird.
Yeah.
He's sadistic towards us by being masochistic towards himself.
Yeah. I like this. Yeah. Let's keep going. We'll start another new pod. We can't say the name on the air, but it'll be freaky. All right,
Is it
Ryan.
gonna be before or after?
I don't like that I segue to me after you said that.
Yep, Ryan.
Yeah, I'd like to do unforgivable things to Robbo at this point. Yeah, he just looks bad, is scoring bad. I don't know what the fullbacks do in this new slot machine. 5 ghosts. Yeah, thank you.
That is really good. Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Appreciate that. Yeah. 5 ghosts a game. I mean, for a third round pick, just bad. I mean, the fact that he still has corners and some sets is nice, but like he's not scoring anything from them, and he's not picking up any attacking returns, and he's getting 9 or 10 with a clean sheet, and like their easy schedule is coming to an end. So I was hoping that he had more name value than he has, but it's been tough shipping him out. So I just don't see what could change that would get him the value that we kind of expected coming into the season.
Yeah.
Unless you guys can tell me some sort of tactical or.
I can't.
I mean, I want to take a quick crack at it. It just seems like all the service is coming from the right-hand side of Liverpool. So all the ghost points are coming from there. And if you look at like some of the games where his average position is, like Robertson is actually further up than Trent is.
But he's not doing anything with it.
Right.
Yes.
Yep, I agree.
Cheers.
Nope. I think that's it, man. And unfortunately,
But if he's underperforming, then you would think that he's just unlucky, or
right.
he'll revert to the mean because he's getting in good spots that he's just not connecting or whatever.
Right.
But I just don't see it. So hope for the best, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and normally when you have Trent and Salah on the same side, you know, you might get key passes here and there. Trent to Salah takes a shot, whatever. Unfortunately, Robbo up to Diaz is not quite the same dynamic. You know, Diaz is going to kind of keep the ball for a minute, dribble around a little bit, potentially pass back, and then finally do something crazy where it's like, oh, that was impressive, but it didn't involve Robbo. It's just kind of the way the thing works on the left side. Diaz is a different type of player. He's never going to shoot it right away. He's always going to kind of take a little time on the ball. Yeah,
that's fair. I would actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like the introduction of Gakpo on that side, who basically won me my mortgage over the Euros with the shot on target bets with the Dutch. I mean, he could actually help Robbo's fortunes quite a bit because he loves to have the pop. So
you could.
Yeah, maybe that gives me a little hope. Okay, thank you for that.
All right, and oh man, this one
I'm
hurts.
sick. Yeah, sick of talking about him. But Rice just hasn't been what he was the second half of last season. 0 attacking returns. His best performance was 8 against Villa. Obviously, that red card against Brighton, which was a travesty. But I mean, it was going to be unsustainable, the numbers second half of last season, but I thought still on corners. He's still in that left center mid role that got him a fair amount of attacking returns again in the second half of the season. You thought maybe he would crack on. Just hasn't happened. And now you have Marino knocking on the door to come in and take up that left center mid role and push him a little further back. And if he's not getting points in this role, then I mean, he might get a bit more defensive points playing further back in the role that Partey is playing right now. But he's not going to be able to reach the ceiling that he had in the last half of the season. So hopefully he hauls this weekend against Southampton, and we can all trade him.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been disappointing. I allowed myself to get him in one league, and I'm kicking myself.
Yeah, brutal. All right, Sanjay, carry us home, brother.
So I think we touched on these assets a pod or two ago about like dropping in value, essentially. But yeah, I think just Nico Jackson's form, I don't see Nkunku like displacing him unless it's like a tough fixture. You know, they play Nkunku, Palmer, who maybe drop Madueke, I'd say. Something like that. That's the only way I see Nkunku coming in. Like, yeah, I think he's droppable. I think just if he starts in the game and you get lucky and you're able to grab him, then play him. But yeah, rest of the season, I think his value is pretty much dead. And same with Fatawu. Yeah, Ryan got it absolutely dead on. Off that first game, if you didn't trade high, I think you've lost your window completely. Unless there's another injury to, especially, you know, they lose Jordan Ayew forward 1. I don't know how he's getting an entry point because Buonanotte got the nod ahead of Fatawu on that right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. Steve Cooper probably hates him. I don't know.
Yeah. Bizarre considering how he started the season. I'm really just astounded to see what's transpired there.
Yeah,
very strange.
It's shocking. But yeah, I think both of them easy drops. I don't think you'll get value unless you have diehard Chelsea Leicester fans in your league.
Yeah. Does Cooper have a hot daughter? Have we looked into this? Is there any chance that
have you seen the man?
Is there any chance that Fatawu has?
I mean, something for generations, right?
Pantrax Fox. I think he wants to list all the honors that Leicester won the last 10 years. He should instead explain the Fatawu thing.
No, I'd rather live in the past.
I don't see any Steve Cooper daughter images
Unless he's married to like Christy Brinkley, like I don't see it. Even that wouldn't be enough to circumvent.
Offset.
That's fair. All right, Sanjy, we're going to stick with you as we buzz through our streamers because we've gone long, boys, but that's okay. I appreciate your marathon abilities here. So game week 7 streamers, 1 week plays with high upside. Sanjy, send us home once again.
Go read my article on
done. No, just kidding. Say them. You still got to say them.
So first up, Mikolenko versus Newcastle, mainly just because Branthwaite's back. I think everyone is just going to perform better in that back line. We saw Tarkowski score his highest for the season. Same with Mikolenko, and I think it'll just continue given the fixture run for Everton next 7, 8, 9 game weeks, let's say. So easy pick, I think. Defender 2, defender 3 sort of pick. Next up, Timo Werner versus Brighton. If Brighton play that same highline crap that they did versus Chelsea, Spurs could annihilate them. Son has a hamstring injury or niggle or whatever, right? Yep. So I think Timo gets a nod again, and I really, really like him for this fixture. My only concern is it's the last game of the game week, so you might want a backup plan in case Ange benches him, right? You don't want to leave that as your last start in your roster. Next up, we've got Jack Clark.
From wow. Okay.
Yeah, this one's kind of left field. It's a combination of two things. The fact that he came into the team and it just feels like he linked up with Delap really well. And
he was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16 or almost 17 with an assist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically just
against him this weekend.
Yeah. See, if you want any more proof in the pudding sort of thing.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And Souček.
There you go.
Oh,
there
Lord.
I mean, West Ham are diabolical at the moment, so I just thought it was a good punt to kind of take as your forward 3 if you need one. And then finally, Buonanotte, good fixture. If Jordan Ayew's still out, I'm just assuming Buonanotte takes that spot. He goes well. He's gotten, 3 attack returns in the last 4 games or something like that? Or 4 appearances or something like that. I think he can do well against a Bournemouth team that kind of gives up chances and goals. So, yeah, those are my lot.
Beautiful. All right. Mr. / himself. You're back, Ryan. Let's do this.
The Slash.
Yeah. Picked up Senesi, obviously, for the Southampton matchup this past weekend. Was given a little trial run, but he passed the Saints test, almost got 10 ghosts. So he had a really good run last season, if you guys remember, in terms of ghosting, over 8.5 ghost a start, and gets random attacking returns. So I like him in this matchup. And Carlos Soler, like him as a player, Valencia Academy kid, was a Lopetegui signing. Say of that what you will. Yeah. Got 6.5 in 45 minutes. Hopefully Lopetegui punishes Kudus and throws Soler into the mixer.
Third defensive midfielder instead of him.
If he randomly gets a start versus Ipswich, I think he's a good midfield streamer in a sea of 0 waiver wire assets in the midfield. Next one's a bit of a left fielder. Wolves haven't been getting results. I think they've been unlucky, but at the same time, O'Neill might want to try and shake it up. The way he could do that is to throw in new signing Carlos Forbes or go back to the Rodrigo Gomez youngster on the wing. Brentford has been pretty open defensively, so I could see them getting some joy. Last, certainly not least, Ethan Nwaneri. Love this kid. 4.5 points in 4 minutes last week.
So he's been amazing in all of his appearances. Like, he's just been so good.
I really thought that he would have a crack at the starting 11 last weekend. He had an amazing cup game, two assists, 1 goal or something like that, and then Champions League midweek It just looked perfect for him.
I had this matchup kind of earmarked because of the fact that there was another midweek game. So I think it's now or never, because after the international break, I think Odegaard will probably be back, and then Nwaneri will just be impact sub and a cup game guy. So it's worth the speculative punt. I still think it's probably 60-40. He doesn't start, and he just sticks with Trossard there. But it's well worth the punt and the off chance that he does, because he'll go nuts. So there you go.
I love it. Anything else last second, guys? All right, beautiful. Nope. Okay, love it. All right, everyone who joined us in chat, thank you all so much. You guys are amazing, and so many of you are absolute troopers. You've made it this whole time and are still chatting with us. You're amazing. We love you guys. Everyone else listening on the podcast version, thanks for making it this far. If you did, you're also incredible. We wish you all the best of luck this weekend. We wish you amazing victories and some really, really amazing finds on the waiver wire. If you have any questions and you have burning conundrums that are going on with your team, well, join the Discord. That's where you're going to get your answers. You got to be on the Discord. You have to join the Discord. If you have any questions on how to do that, send us a message somewhere, whether it's Twitter or somewhere else. Those are really the only messages we do on Twitter these days, to be completely honest. Otherwise, join the Discord. That's where everyone is. That's where the community is. That's where you're going to get your answers, because it's an amazing, knowledgeable group and an incredible community that we've got and we've fostered. So, yeah, get on there. Otherwise, that's it for me. Everyone, we love you. Talk to everyone soon. KPC out. Cheers.